Hello, this is an instruction video for QAxis stage automation control system. Okay, so to open QAxis, we double click on the icon on the desktop, like so, and that gets us into the main screen. You'll notice at the moment that it's not connected to the PLC. So the first thing we need to do is connect it to the PLC. We do this by clicking the fins tick box here and pressing the fins connect button. That then brings up the status of the axes, which are all okay, the emergency stop and the dead man. We then need to click the go enable to bring up the go buttons, which is password protected. In this case it's 5555, yours may be different. And now our go buttons are visible. And next we open a file that's been previously saved, and we've just got two queues in at the moment. So we've got Q0, which is the preset, and Q1, which takes it to 5000. So it's currently at 0. So if we run Q1, it will run to 5000. Whilst it's running, you'll notice the actual will start moving towards 5000. The status will say positioning, and the time left to run the move will be displayed over here. So I shall press go, and off it goes, running towards position, and then at position, and then OK again. So if we now wanted to edit this queue, we can click on the edit enable down here, which takes us to the edit menu, which means all the go buttons disappear. So you're either in edit or you're in go mode, never in both. And you're now able to edit this number. So we could change this number to say 10,000, like so. Press record down here, go back to go, and now the demand for this Q1 is 10,000. So if we now press go, we're currently at 5,000, press go, it will run it to 10,000. Like so. So we can also delete queues or reset them as well. So if we go into, say, Q2, which is currently 2000, and go to edit, we've got the option of resetting it, which if we do that and record it, that leaves Q2 intact but empty. So resetting a queue deletes the information in a queue but doesn't actually get rid of the queue. Or if we delete the queue, so we're on Q2 still, we delete it, are you sure? Yes, it's gone. Q2 actually gets removed from the queue list then in that instance. Then if we are happy that we want to keep that, we need to save the file. So we go up to the file and click on save. Click on the file that you want to save it as, or give it a new name. In this case test. We save. Do you want to replace? Yes, and it's now saved. QAxis has a single axis controller, so we can run the motor to a position without interfering with the cue sheet. So axis 1 is currently at 10,000, and we can put in a demand down here of, say, 2,000, and run the single axis control go button, and it will run the axis to 2,000 independently of any cues. And there it is at 2,000. QAxis has 6 groups or playbacks, and you can put any axis into any group in any queue. So to demonstrate this, we put in a number in the group field over here. Red group is group 1, blue group is group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6. So let's try group 3. So we put in group 3, green group, record. It goes green to show you. So now if we want to run this queue, we can either run it from the all go, which will run all groups, or we can run and start it from green group only. So blue group wouldn't do anything because we don't have any blue groups, but green group would start it and stop it, and start it, and also change the speed on the fly. We've got a speed calculator to help us work out what speed to put in. So in this example, we are currently at 0. We want to get to 10,000, but suppose we want to do that in 10 seconds. So we get our calculator and we want to do 10,000 in 10 seconds. So we calculate that, 613, 61.3%. So if we now edit the queue to 613, record it, go back to go. If we now run this queue with our stopwatch so we can see what's going on, we press go, so it says it's going to take 10 seconds over here, and we go press go, and our stopwatch goes off and it starts positioning towards 10,000. The time is going down as it goes, and 9.7, so fairly close. QAxis has a manual control facility. So this is accessed by the tab control at the top here. So where it says manual control, press that, and then we get this screen. And on the screen we can control the axes individually. So our axis 1, forwards, is forwards, reverse, we can run it slow or fast. The other thing we can do is down here we can change the text on the manual buttons. So the default is forward and reverse, but it might be that you want to write say clockwise and anti-clockwise if you were running a revolve, say. So now you've changed the text to clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you find it necessary to reset the encoder position, perhaps because of a slipping encoder, then this can be reset from the Reset Encoder tab. So over here we're at 11,107. If we press Reset Encoder, we could reset it to 0 or any other value. So if I can reset it to 0, am I sure? Yes, resets to 0. If I wanted to set it to say 10,000, reset to 10,000, am I sure? And it sets it to 10,000. Okay, QAxis has a setup page, accessed by the tab control again, up here, where a lot of the settings are adjusted. Normally this is done at commissioning and shouldn't need adjusting again. But if it did, the axis parameters are found here, soft limits here, speed calculator values here. This is the value used when it's calculating the speed over here. Axis names can be adjusted. The password for the Go Enable can be set down here. The custom buttons, which we'll talk about in a little bit, can be defined here. The software expiry date is set here with a secret password. We can read the show log from here, so if we click on here we can look at today's show log so far, which is useful if something goes wrong. The communications is set up here, so on fins we are connected using IP addresses here. If we were in Hostlink protocol, we would be on one of the COM ports over here, but nearly all projects these days are done on fins. And there's a few shortcuts here as well, so to the mouse setup, to the calculator within Windows is all accessed from this page. Down at the bottom here we have 6 buttons that are our custom buttons that we can set up to do anything we want on individual projects. So typically in the past they've been used to start pumps or compressors. We've had them doing special little macros, we've had them doing a fast reset of an encoder, whatever the project requires. So we can give it a title, so we could say pumps, and we could have pump start, pump stop, say, with a green colour for when it's on, and then we've now got pumps written here, pump start, pump stop, that can then be used in the PLC to start and stop a pump if that's what we wanted to do with it. QAxis has a deads page as well, so also accessed from the tab control at the top. In here we've got 128 deads that we can use over and over again as many times as we want in any queue on any axis. So if we play with just one to start with, so dead 1, we can give it a name, so we can call it I don't know, indead, say, and give it a value, say, of 200. So if we now write the default deads file, are we sure, and go back to queue control, if we now go back to the preset queue, and instead of having a demand value here, we put in a dead value here, so we can call up that indead, press record. So now the demand is the dead 1, which its current value is 200. So if we run it, the motor will run to 200. And we could use that dead as many times as we want in as many queues as we want. And then if we were to change that dead, so if we were to make that dead now, for instance, 2000, and write it, go back to queue control, it's now 2000, so it's still the first dead, but every occurrence of that dead would now be 2000 instead of 200. So if we press go, it now goes to 2000. So if we want to create a new queue, so Q2 for instance, we go down to the edit enable, we put in a name for it, so we'll call it 2, give it a number, 2, and we create it, and we now got an empty Q2. If we put a number in it, say 9000, and record that, we've now got a queue of a demand of 9000 in Q2. So if we were to run that queue now, the motor would go to 9000. So we've created Q1 and Q2, but if we wanted a queue some in between 1 and 2, again we go to edit axis, we get it, call it in between, why not, and then we can give that a number, so we could give it 1.7 for instance, and if we create that, it puts it in between 1 and 2 at 1.7, and if we wanted to do another in between, so in between 2, we could put in 1.3, create a queue, and now we've got an in between 2 at Q1.3 and Q1.7. We've actually got millions of queues because we've got an 8-digit number where the point can go anywhere. So we can go from 0.0000 something all the way up to 99999 something. So there are literally millions of queues. So I'll just put some values in here now. Say 18,000 with a, say, quite fast speed. record, and then maybe 36,000 with a slower speed, say 30%, 300. We'll record that. And now we've got our Q0, which is at 2,000, because it's on a dead. We've got Q1 going to 10,000, Q1.3 going to 18,000, Q1.7 going to 36,000, and our original Q2 at 9,000. QAxis has a Revolve interface, so on the Windows menu up there we can select Revolve, and it shows our Revolve here, and we can put in demand position or actual position. So if it's on demand and we go through the queues, that's Q36,000, which is 0 because it's 36,000 counts per revolution, so it's 1 revolution at 0 degrees. 18,000 is 180 degrees. 10,000 is just over 90 degrees, so it's 100 degrees. And the preset is at 2,000, which is 20 degrees. Or we can put it to actual and watch it move. So if we go to 18,000 quite fast and run it, we can see the Revolve moving round like that. So some control systems will have load cells that need to be monitored. So for this we have a page here, wait, where we can set up the overload and underload and the readouts of any overload or underload situations, and then we can have an audible warning so that the operator knows that a weight has been exceeded, and within the PLC we can set it so that it stops lifting if that's deemed necessary for a particular control system. QAxis has a facility to communicate with other systems, so the next tab on the top there is the OSC, Open Sound Control, PSN, PosiStage Net, and the DMX interface. So on this page we can send our position information to projection systems or lighting systems so that they can track our axes. So we would select an axis, say, so axis 1, and then we can start the streaming, and now the actual position of where we are is being sent to, in this case, PSN, which is PosiStage Net, so projection systems would now be able to follow the position. So it's currently not actually moving, but if we were to put in a move where it is moving, this number now is being sent to PSN, or it could be being sent to a DMX device as well. QAxis has a timecode function, again available from the tab control, where you load a script, you enable timecode to run the script, which will run the queues. The queues don't have to be in order, and the timecode can come either internally or externally. So it can listen to MIDI timecode, so it can be triggered from external timecode, or it can be triggered from internal timecode. So we're just going to run 5 queues from internal timecode. So it starts running, and the frame numbers that they trigger at are written here. That's the first one. Second one. If we want to, we can pause. So we are now stuck at frame 629, just 25 seconds, and then we can carry on if we wish. we want to keep the time code going but not trigger any queues, then we can disable the go. And then if we want to carry on again, QAxis has a method of resetting queues, so it will remember on a rolling basis the last 10 queues fired. So the last queue here that was fired was Q5, and if we load the last queue, it will then take us back to the start point of Q5. So we can press go and it takes us back to where Q5 started from. Or we can go back to other queues, so we can go back to, say, reset Q3, which is the beginning state of the last time we ran Q2. So we can run that, and we can run it at the default speed, which is the speed that it originally did the queue, or we can run it at a slow speed or a fast speed. So let's run it fast. And we can stop, we can clear them all, or we can write them to a file and bring them up, say, the next day. So if you're in a rehearsal situation, perhaps. Okay. There's an instruction manual which you can get from the help manual, so you can go onto there, and everything I've just been talking about is in this manual too. Okay. Also, this instruction video which you're watching will be on YouTube, so you can access it from here. Let me put it over there, so that's on our YouTube site. And if you go to our website and the QAxis page, or if you need to contact us, that's our details there.